Hello everyone, I once again welcome you all to my YouTube channel English by Nisa. So in this video we are going to discuss a poem Ecology which is written by a.k.ramanujan which you have in your degree 5th semester. So before moving further, let's know about the author, that is poet a.k.ramanujan. So a.k.ramanujan is probably the most well known of Indian English poets who made Indian verse internationally popular, and also most of his work breathe Indian culture and tradition. Means he usually write about Indian culture and its tradition. Now let's see the title of the poem, that is Ecology. Ecology is nothing but it is a relationship between living things and their surrounding, means environment. So this poem Ecology is taken from Ramanujan's third volume of poems, that is Second Sight, which was published in 1986. So here the speaker seems to be the poet himself or some imaginary person who is loyally devoted to his mother. In this poem, the speaker is very angry because his mother has a severe attack of migraine due to the red champak trees which he had in his garden. So in every rainy season, the red champak tree plant give up flowers. The fragrance of this flower is very heavy and suffocating, and that causes a severe migraine. So the loving son therefore decided to cut down the tree, but he is prevented from doing so by his mother, who sees the positive side of the tree in her garden. So here the loving son is angry with the trees because the trees are giving illness to mother, whereas the mother, despite her illness, she doesn't want the trees to be cut off. So in this poem, we will going to see the beautiful contradiction between the traditional views and the modern views. So before moving further, let's see some important point of this poem. Ecology is a poem which could be read as one single sentence, but however each stanza has one particular idea. So students, let's start reading the poem. So on this page, as you can see, there are three stanzas. Every stanza is related to other, means every stanza giving a different meaning, but there is a connection between each stanza. So let's start reading this. The day after the first rain, for years I would home in a rage. So the meaning of rage is nothing but anger. So the poet showing his anger. Because after every first rain, poet goes to his home in a rage, means showing his anger. And this is happening for several years. For I could see from a mile away our three red champak trees has done it again. Means the poet could see a mile away that the three red champak trees which are present in his garden, they have done something again, which they do every year, had burst into flower and given mother her first blinding migraine of the season. Now blinding migraine is nothing but it is a severe headache which sometimes causing a person to vomit. So the meaning of this third stanza is, in every rainy season on these red champak trees flower bloom, and that flower releases something that gives poet's mother first migraine of the season. Now let's see the overall explanation of these three stanzas. So here in these three stanzas, the poet says that for a number of years during every first rain of the season, he finds his mother suffering from blinding migraine, that is unbearable headache, because of these three red champak trees which are present in his garden. So during the summer season, the red champak trees releases this red champak trees flowers releases something which gives his mother a blinding migraine, means first migraine of the season. Now let's read the further stanzas. With their street long heavy hung yellow pollen fog of a fragrance no wind could sift. So the meaning of sift is nothing but to separate something, means to sieve something in order to separate the fine particles from the coarse particles. So here with this stanza the poet is saying that these flowers have strong fragrance, and these and releases pollen which is spread all over the street, and it look like a fog of yellow pollen which couldn't be separated or sifted by wind, means no wind could separate it, No door could shut out from our black pillared house whose walls had ears and eyes. Scales, smells, bone creaks, nightly visiting voices, and were pores like us. Now, here in these stanzas, poet is giving the description of his house that it's very old and it's black pillared house and it has ears and eyes. So here he is personifying his house with a human body, where he is saying that our house is very old, which have holes and absorb everything like these flower pollens. So during the rainy season, the poet is saying that this three red champak trees flower bloom, which then releases a yellow pollen grain in the air, which according to the poet spread like a clouds throughout the street, or if we say in other words, throughout the area. That pollen grains remain suspended in the air and thus not allow the wind to get it pure, and it remained filled with the fragrance. And in these two last stanzas, the poet personifying his house with a human body and says that no door can shut out, that is, prevent the pollen from entering into their black pillared house. So, here, according to the poet, his house walls had ears and eyes, and also his house observed everything like nightly visiting voices. And also, his house has pores like a human body through which the pollen enter in his house and causing his mother a blinding migraine. Read the further stanzas. But mother flashing her temper like her mother's twisted silver grandchildren's knickers. So here in this stanza, the poet finally tells his mother that he's going to cut the trees. So poet's mother flashes rage means anger, and her anger he has compared with the twisted silver on which her grandchildren's knickers were hanging. Wet as the coal pack on her head would not let us cut down a flowering tree. So here the poet's mother's head which is full of sweat and pain due to migraines. So here the poet compares her anger with twisted silver which either on the roof or in the balcony which is shining because of the wet knickers of her mother's grandchildren. So, just like the silver wire, his mother's head is also twisted due to severe pain. So, here in this stanza, we can see the blinding faith or blind faith of educated Indian woman. Though she is suffering for severe migraine, still she doesn't want to cut a tree. Now, let's see the further stanzas. Almost as old as her, seated, she said, by a passing bird's providential droppings to give her gods and her daughters. So, here in this stanza, the poet's mother said that this three champak trees is as old as she is. Means it was seeded by a passing bird. Means a bird dropped the seed of those plants. And she believes that it is a good omen. Means it is a God's gift. To give her gods and her daughters and daughters' daughters basketful of annual flower. And for one line of cousins, a dower of migraines in season. So here poet's mother believes that the bird seeded the plant so that a line of cousins, or in other words each new generation, may be able to offer its basketful of annual flower to the god and their daughters. And for this reason she is all prepared to bear the pain of migraine. So in the last stanza she said that just like the dowry passed from one generation to another generation, this migraine will also pass from one generation to another generation, like a form of legacy from these three red champak trees. So, through this poem, the poet tried to show us that the difference between the views of people belonging to the old generation, like his mother, and those belonging to the new generation, like poet. And the old people have emotions, memories, beliefs attached to the ecology. But new generation doesn't care that. For poet, the red champak trees have no use. Their pollens pollute the air and thus the city. So they cannot be prevented from entering the house and human body. As the poet has no emotions attached to the ecology or the trees, so he decided to cut them. So here poet's mother showing a small sacrifice which she is giving to the tree. Students, this is all about the poem Ecology. I hope it would be helpful for you. Stay tuned for more videos and thanks for watching.